Okay, so yeah, the last section for you guys to kind of go through is the Tier 0 portion of the Air Force One story.
A
little tiny bit, but really a little background of where kind of the inspiration for this story came from. We had kind of a creative summit back in November of '05 in Los Angeles with Mark Parker, CEO, Sandy Bodecker, Eddie Cruz, Hiroshi Fujiwara, Chris Gibbs from Union, Paul Middleman, Stussy, and ourselves and a few others. And really the idea of the summit wasn't to necessarily talk about Air Force One, but more about just the sneaker game and what was kind of missing. Not that we were going to walk away from certain segments of the current Tier 0 line, but what could we do to really
add something
there. And really some of the ideas that came about were the notion of when HTM first came out. It was so simple and premium. If you knew, you knew, but it was stuff you could wear every day. The first HTMs that came out, you could wear them today, and you'd still be like on point.
People
right?
still talk about them as like, it'd be great if I could get hold of that because it's such a timeless piece that you can put on and kind of match with anything, as opposed to some of the, which is also another very great end of the spectrum, the colourful, the stories and the shoes that we spin all the time that are very successful, but just have that counterbalance in there as well.
So, we kind of coined the concept like premium basics. Like, give me basics that are really premium that they're not really, the idea wasn't to create a collection that we would have cues every day, every weekend. It's more, if somebody wants to go in and wants a really clean sneaker, it's there, but it's premium, it's detailed, it's very special. And we thought there's no better shoe to start with than the Air Force One. And a lot of it was based because the Air Force One is what it is, but we knew kind of all the work that was being done on the Air Force One from a craftsman standpoint. So if we're going to do a premium basics line, it makes a lot of sense to start it with the shoe we've been spending the most time on figuring out every little detail and making it better. So we'll kind of take you through like the collection. This is just one, you guys know, like on the Tier 0 piece, we don't show everything. So this is just one little delivery.
This will be the beginning of the year. Right now you're going to see 3 shoes, but on average it's going to be like 2 shoes per month, and they'll follow through the theme that you see, although they will change. When I say they follow the theme, it's the simplicity and the high-end materials, but some of the ideas do definitely change.
So this is the kind of the 3-shoe collection of the Supreme Basics, which some of you guys have seen because you've seen it. But the idea again is very simple details. Starting with the core, the foundation of what premium basics should be. Starting with the 3 colors that we feel like really are what we were missing in our Tier 0 line. So really staple black, a gray, and then a brown. But on all the details, we changed it a little bit from what you saw earlier in the evening. So from these will all be kind of Supreme pricing, but we mixed and matched kind of how we actually executed some of the deals. So like even though it's Supreme, we kept the old school look from an overlay standpoint. We still rolled the edges, so it's different than the original, but we like the actual old school look of it. We also used some combination leathers, very premium, so we wanted to change kind of what premium leather meant here. The shoes, like I'll preference it by saying the shoes are not considered. However, the materials we're using are from our considered kind of concept or idea, because I think all of us kind of feel pretty passionate about the idea of considered. So these are all those leathers, but the shoe's not a considered shoe. Using all the craftsman details, so one lining, one piece kind of lining inside. Using the same graphic details on the sock liner and the aglets, even the debris. So doing these two and like that. This one, what we wanted to do is bring something new. So from a Tier 0 standpoint, when we saw the airbag, we knew it's like, okay, we have to do something with it because the idea of Tier 0 is to push new. So the Sport guys came with this airbag that everybody fell in love with. We sampled it a little bit different, and we sampled it so you could see the line of Air Force One. Initially, we looked at it, and Mark Parker saw it, and he was like, "You guys got to figure out how to get that to look really nice." So we kept the line. I think it adds a cool little detail that's different from all the rest of them. You can really see the airbag. This goes away. It's just going to be real clear, so you can see the airbag even better. I think that was some of the feedback we got from Berlin when we showed it to a few people, and so we did that change. Yeah, all the other details, very premium execution. So
I think, you've got, for example, you've got the Luxe shoes that you see over here, which obviously if you have the means and the ability to get hold of those, it's probably not something you want to wear every day because it's kind of expensive and something you want to keep looking pristine. But this gives you the option to go for something that's obviously a lot more attainable, but it still has a very, very slick kind of look, and you're not going to be afraid of, part of the whole idea of this is the fact that you can go back and there's always going to be something in that zone that you can get hold of instead of being, I'm worrying about wearing that stuff, And also, part of the sort of referencing was almost, just the simplicity of something like a Chuck Taylor, or even like a white Air Force One, where people want to be able to get hold of something timeless like that and be able to wear it with a lot of different outfits.
So we're starting with footwear, but we're not only going to do footwear. So the idea of this Premium Basics line will kind of go across into some apparel that you'll see. It's also not just going to be on Air Force One. So we have some other products that are coming that are going to be in that Premium Basics zone that are different silhouettes that you'll start seeing down the road as well.
But throughout next year, you'll see this basic line running through each month. And as I say, there'll be slight variations. It's not going to look exactly the same as this in Air Force One. There'll be maybe some color pops or other things that maybe we want to keep secret for now, but definitely it follows a theme. But it'll keep interesting. It'll keep changing enough within that very narrow zone of being simple.
So real tight, kind of the first delivery for Tier 0.
Do these three colours
The first at the beginning, yeah.
Or in spring,
Yeah.
we'll have different release dates. Right now in spring they'll come.
And I think it's a nice, a nice counterbalance because we've got some really beautiful stuff that's going on with, a lot more storytelling and colour and material. So this is a nice sort of balance to add another end to the spectrum with the whole offering as it fits into the line, the full line.